The Empire of Maka has existed for nearly 1,000 years. Founded and ruled by Avon the Main, the immortal empress, it quickly expanded its borders thanks to the overwhelming power of its mages and the shrewd politics of its nobles. Now it has fully conquered the centre of the continent of Elmera, and although war has ended, peace still eludes its populace. As the empire nears its first millennia, the signs of turmoil have become more frequent and apparent. Monsters are becoming more bold, nobles plot schemes of usurpation, and whispers of rebellion hang heavy in the slums. This gave rise to the adventurer. These strong individuals of all races and classes lend their might to the citizens of Maka to drive back monstrous incursions. There are even adventurers who perform deeds so noble that the people can see beyond their race to the hero that lies within. There are those who criticize these adventurers and claim they're nothing more than pawns used to advance the political machinations of nobles. Despite the immortal Empress herself making fewer and fewer appearances, there are those whose faith in the Empire remains unshaken, but the wise know that it only takes a few sparks to ignite the flames of change. Allow me to introduce you to these sparks. Welcome to Elmera.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Dice Age. We're a D&D actual play show. I am the Dungeon Master, Jack, and with me are my 5 friends. Would you all be so kind as to introduce yourselves, your character, and what class they are?
Hi everyone, I'm AJ. I'm going to be playing Edgar Wood, the half-elf blood hunter.
My name is Alice Rose. I'm going to be playing T, the elven sorceress.
I am Mitchell, and I am playing Essa Reyes, the human rogue.
Hello, I am Trey, and I will be playing Oberon Perseus Maximus Germanius Percival Cornelius Alexander Claudius II, a drow fighter.
And my name is Zachary. I will be playing Tauros the Tiefling, and I will be a paladin.
Awesome. So we are just going to dive straight in. This is our first time making a show out of D&D. We hope you all enjoy it. So without further ado, let's enter the world of Elmera. The land of Elmera is a massive continent that is home to a variety of peoples, cultures, and beliefs. A pity. We shall have to be the ones to call that. These were the words spoken by Regulus Xavier Claudius I, advisor to the immortal Empress in the year 60. Centuries have passed since then, and today we open on an Elmera that is nearing its 1,000th year of existence. This land has been ruled by the elves for all that time, and they in turn have been ruled by the immortal Empress, who has remained the leader of this empire since its founding. The city that is most well known is its capital, Avon. You all live within the city of Avon, capital of the Empire of Maka. The largest city in the empire, Avon hosts many noble houses, temples, stores, and of course, the Imperial Palace. But what Avon also holds is the Avon Adventuring Academy, a school dedicated to teaching survival, combat, and magic skills to those who wish to become adventurers. Over the past 3 years, you all have attended this school for one reason or another, and today is the day you finally graduate and are given your adventurer's license. We open our story by turning to a not necessarily dilapidated, but certainly not elegant structure within one of the many sprawling slums within the city. Here we find Edgar. AJ, could you please describe Edgar?
Yeah, what you see is a about 5'8", 5'9" half elf who has embraced his goth side throughout his schooling years. Edgar has dark olive skin that is covered with as many tattoos as possible and as many piercings as possible. So septum ring, multiple earrings, gauges, all that. And everything that he is wearing, every accessory is as black as it can possibly be, from his black studded leather armor to his black pants and as many studded belts as possible. His hair is a long black mohawk that extends down to about his shoulders, and he's always carrying around a trusted rapier that he tried to get dyed when it was being smithed with some version of red color to make it look like it's bloodstone. It didn't completely work, but Edgar still thinks it looks really cool. But probably the most recognizable thing about Edgar is his eye patch over his right eye. Black eye patch covering over it, and it's something that if you ever ask him about, he will not tell you the story of what happened to his eye. And he is brooding wherever he possibly can.
All right. Well, Edgar, you're currently at home. You all were given a vacation before the graduation ceremony where you got to go back home and spend some time with your family before receiving your license as adventurers. So, you're waking up, getting dressed, you smell breakfast being cooked by your mother. You live in a pretty small little apartment, but the two of you were able to find a place that could give you both a little bit of privacy. So you each have your own separate bedroom.
Uh, Edgar wakes up knowing this is the day off before the graduation, Jack,
So
or is it the day of the graduation?
This is the day of the graduation. This is.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Mhm.
Edgar wakes up, and as soon as he realizes after stretching in bed that this is graduation day, he gets a little tense as he gets up to get ready for the day. He goes to pick out his clothes. He puts on all of his black clothing on first and then slightly covers it with the uniform just so he can get past the dress code enough, but still have all of his actual aesthetic come through. But he has a moment with the uniform where he's like, "Shit, this is the last day I have to wear this thing." As he puts it on, as he puts it on too, he looks in the mirror and he looks at a very large gash on his chest. He just runs his finger along it. It has a little 1,000-yard stare as he heads downstairs to get breakfast.
Okay, yeah. So you head downstairs. You see your mother, Sierra, is there. She's would you describe your mother for the audience?
Sierra, also a half elf woman, darker skin, long, beautiful black hair. She is, despite living in a more rundown home, she does everything in her power to look as elegant and in control as possible. So while a lot of the other houses in the neighborhood are pretty dilapidated on the outside and the inside, she has worked really hard to make it look as nice and clean as possible. And same thing with her attire. She is always multitasking, doing like 5 things at once. So I imagine she is both cooking bacon and reading up on a new potential alchemy potion. She's working on doing
Yeah,
for work.
yeah. She's like kind of flipping over the bacon, but she's also holding a piece of bound parchment, far enough away that she doesn't have to worry about grease splatters, but is trying to balance her attention between the two. Hears you come down and says, "Oh, sweetheart, good morning. Hey, today's the big day." And she like runs up and gives you a hug and everything.
Yeah, yeah. We know you don't have to make that big of a deal. It's a long time coming. I'm just kind of glad it's over. You're not gonna accidentally put potion in the bacon like you did a couple weeks ago, right?
No, I learned my lesson, okay? But
Right.
you know, with that we were able to find out, that bacon is not a suitable vehicle for a cure for vine rash. So, you you just everything in life is a lesson. Uh, and
True.
she gets to work setting up a plate for you. And as you're sitting down, she does also kind of have this worried look on her face, and she looks at you and she says, I know like this is a big day for you, and I'll be sure to be there at the graduation ceremony. I just I hope you know that adventuring might not always be what you expect it to be.
What do you mean? Like you've told me some awesome stories from when you were out adventuring, like fighting monsters, killing bad guys, all of that. It's all I've kind of been looking forward to. It's why I went through the crap at school.
She says, "Well, no. It is, and there's definitely a lot of fun to be had. I just don't want you to." Yeah, she looks at you and she, you know, smiles and she says, "No, of course. Like, adventuring can be so much fun, and there is a lot of good you can do with it. I just want you to keep adequate expectations. It
And
can be a hard life too."
can I roll an insight check? I feel like this is different than other conversations Edgar has had with his mom about this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Like she's tiptoeing around maybe more than usual.
sure. Go ahead.
All right, let's see here. First roll of the show.
Hey,
It's an 8.
It's an 8.
that's a grim moment. That's a grim moment.
You feel like there's something she's not telling you, maybe, or that there's definitely something kind of off with what she's telling you right now. But it does seem like it's at the very least it's coming from a sincere place, and she's not trying to scare you out of being an adventurer. She just is hoping she's hoping you know what you're getting into, kind of thing.
Like, Mom, I wasn't the top of the class, but I did really well in all the martial combat, everything, even some of like the stealth stuff. I did pretty good. You trained me to survive. I'm gonna be okay out there, especially since And Edgar gets a little like anxiously excited about, since I got the blood right and everything too. Like I felt really in control and strong since then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I. She just kind of like shakes her head and says, and smiles again and says, "I know, sweetie. I know you're gonna do great things. I guess I'm just being a mom and being a little worried is all." She gives you a kiss on the forehead, and then like her face kind of sours, and she just says, "Now all we need to do is get you out of that stupid obligation. I can talk to him about this whole arrangement. See if maybe I
I,
can get him to, now that you have your license, you shouldn't have to spend all your time with a person have trouble getting along with."
I, I'd love that. There's the group with like Kanasha and Saul and Zuzu in it, and I would love to be able to adventure with them. But you know how he is, Mom. I don't know if he's gonna let that go. He seems really pissed off at me, and I'm not. I mean, I get why, but do you think he'd let that go?
She kind of makes a face and says, "No, I don't think that man would. I guess it might just be wishful thinking on my part. But hey, that's not something we have to worry about right now. Is right now is about you graduating, we don't have to be thinking about that kind of stuff. As she says that, there's a knock at the door, and she looks a little confused, goes to it. There's a halfling messenger there, and he says, "Oh, good morning, ma'am. Here, I just have this letter for you to be delivered to you from the Claudius estate. Okay, I'll be heading out now." And he just takes off running. She looks at the letter, starts reading over it, and like you see just anger flaring in her eyes, and she just says, "Apparently, you are being summoned to the estate to escort the young Master Claudius to the graduation ceremony."
Really? I have to go through the fucking elf nobility and god damn it, yeah, if you could try talking to him at some point about
Right. I'll make sure to bring it up to him.
the last day before I have to spend the rest of my adventuring with this guy.
Right. Absolutely. I'll see when I see him at the ceremony. I'll see if I can talk to him. That's very, very frustrating. And as she says that, like, you can like smell burning as as like some of the bacon is starting to char, and she's like, "Oh shit!" And she runs over and like takes it off the pan. Uh, and yeah, that's our little glimpse into the. Sorry.
Real quick, I realized I called Edgar's mom a half elf. She is a full human, just to make sure that's good. And just to end, Edgar angrily grabs his bag and heads through the door, and it's just like, all right, off to go see the Lord Claudius, I guess.
As she's like, trying to fix everything, she just like gives you this like reassuring smile, and like she, has this look of like tiredness but pride, and she just says, I know you'll do well, son, and when if you get to a moment where no, never mind, you'll do fine. It's okay.
Yeah, you're acting really weird, but the fire's still not out, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
let you deal with
yeah,
that.
I need to. And she's like rushing around, like grabbing, like looking for a cauldron that doesn't have a potion being brewed in it. As you walk out the door.
Love you. Don't burn the house down.
I promise I won't. It's only happened once, and I won't let it happen again. All right. From there, we move. Actually, we move over towards the Adventuring Academy. In one of the wings of the building, we see an area that is a set of dorms, but unlike the dorms that are used by the people who come from across the empire to attend this academy, where they are effectively just, boarding houses. This wing has bars on the windows, and there are paladins and guards patrolling the halls. And we move to a room in here where we find Essa.
So what you see as the camera kind of pans in on Essa is a human male, kind of got like cloth wrapped around his face because the air is shit. Like because I assume they probably don't keep up good upkeep with this room. Now it is Essa, so it's dusty and dirty. So he has this to kind of protect himself. Very dark skin, black hair that's kind of tied to a ponytail, shaved on the sides. Let me float this picture in so I can get it. You see 2 daggers kind of on his back, a rapier by his side, or he might not even have weapons on him, but those weapons he carries. Looks very, very young, maybe early 20s about. And that's what you see with Essa.
Okay. Essa, you are awakening. You know it's the day of graduation. I imagine you are not necessarily filled with the same amount of eager anticipation that Edgar was feeling. As you are like rousing from your sleep, you feel a chill in the air, and you hear the voice of a woman, and she says, "Don't forget your promise." And then that chill kind of dissipates.
Oh, why did I get involved in all of this? And S kind of looks at S has like a calendar on the wall. He looks at, takes like something that he would use like to scratch at the dates, sees and like circles around the date of today, which has a graduation day written on it, and just goes, 3 years for this, and we're going into a place that I hate. So this is quick.
Mm-hmm. As you're kind of muttering to yourself, your door slams open, and you see a tall, high elven man in plate armor. On the armor is a symbol of the Order of Madeir emblazoned upon it, and he just kind of tosses some stale bread at you and says, "Eat up. It's graduation day. Gave you an extra
Thank-
slice as a present."
Thank you. I kind of like bow my head.
He kind of like sneers at you and says, "I can't believe that the Empire allows criminals like you to become adventurers."
Well, we need to learn how to change for the better, right? What way better than to learn to fight for the Empire or to adventure for the Empire? Makes sense to me.
He kind
If you
of
allow me to express my opinion, good sir.
scowls and is just like, "Meh, whatever," and shuts the door back, and then calls back over his shoulder saying, "Let me know when you're ready, and we can start heading out."
This is kind of whispers to himself, just not even the decency to knock. And we'll like look at the bread and just start eating. Like he has no choice in this.
Mm-hmm. All right.
After a bit, he'll kind of sit there and think wistfully about the old days, about him, working to kind of provide a safe space for a lot of people, and how that all kind of is not where he is now, and how we got here. And then he'll bang on the door.
Mm-hmm. After you bang
Ready?
you bang on the door, the elf flings it open and just like he smacks you on the head lightly. Says, "Hey, you don't want to go damaging school property, do you?"
I guess not. I apologize.
And then he smirks and says, "Good. Now follow me," and starts heading down the
Yep,
hall.
sir.
All right.
Does he cuff me at all?
He doesn't have your hands bound.
Okay.
But he is expecting you to follow him.
I will. I just want to make sure. I just want to know if my hands are bound or not.
No, not right now. All right. Moving on from Essa, we are going to have the camera sort of pan over the city, and we find ourselves in the Temple District. Here, we have a lot of different stone buildings that were created in order to praise the Sylvan gods, the pantheon of the Elven Empire, as well as the headquarters and garrisons of the various paladin orders that exist here. Among them, of course, being the Order of Medir, the oldest and most powerful paladin order of the Empire. In one of the quarters, we find Tauros, who has been spending his vacation with his mentor.
Um, Tauros is he's probably in a bed that's a little too big for him. It's kind of hand me down, pretty rackety in there. He's this kind of big, burly mountain of a tiefling. He's got this blue skin, these big, like almost kind of like bovine horns that come out of the side of his head, and he's got his hair shaved along the side so it doesn't like irritate his horns. And it's basically just down the middle of this kind of like small like mohawk. It's not a full like spiked mohawk, but it's just spiked up hair. Um, and he kind of just sits up. He's kind of been up for a little bit. He's just kind of been chilling. He doesn't get a lot of downtime. He's like sitting up. He starts cleaning off most of his stuff. He's got a flame burge that he's like really focusing on cleaning. That's about the nicest of his equipment. His armor's very old and rustic, and it looks hand me down as he's kind of like he's just basically just cleaning all of his stuff. The nicest of what he has is uh, this amulet kind of thing that's on a big chain that hangs from his belt. That has the insignia of Medir, which is the sword with the balancing beam, right, Jack?
Mm-hmm.
It's got that like kind of like engraved on it that he has just attached to him at all times. It's the nicest thing that he really has on it. But he's basically just wearing like really ratty clothes right now. He hasn't changed into his outfit yet. He's mostly just been cleaning his equipment in his room.
All right. You hear a gentle knock on your door, and then the voice of Elda Loomis, your mentor, and she says, Tauros, are you ready for breakfast?
He stands and kind of like ups his posture a little bit. He's, yes, Miss Loomis, I am ready.
Mm-hmm. So she opens the door, kind of waves you down, brings you to, her dining area. She's got just like a simple meal prepared of bread, oats, and milk. Um, and as you begin eating, she smiles at you and says, "You've made a lot of progress since you've come to me, and I need to let you know that I'm very proud of you for being able to graduate, and this is a great first step for applying to become a paladin."
He kind of gives a nod as he's eating his food, and he's just like, Miss Loomis, I wouldn't have done this without you. Of course, it's been an honor to work.
She smiles and says, "Oh well, thank you." Elda's a older woman, um, blonde hair, stands at about 5'10", but she's very wiry and strong. She's been a paladin for years, and you can still sense a lot of strength from her, even at her more advanced age. Um, and she says, once you make enough money from your adventures to apply, I'll be sure to sponsor you and make sure that we can overcome any challenges that'll come up with your application.
He gives her a smile. She's one of the few people that ever actually sees him kind of like smile. It's not a very like big grin, but it's a very small kind of genuine smile. Just you do so much for me, Miss Loomis. I appreciate all that you've done for me. I don't want you to think that me leaving and becoming an adventurer does not mean I'm going to miss this place.
She laughs and just says, "Of course not. You are moving on in your life. This is nothing that I didn't expect from you." And she reaches up a hand to her ears and just rubs them, her scarred ears, and says, us, people like us need to work for each other.
Toro's kind of like he holds a smile and kind of like gently reaches up and like does like the same motion she does, but instead of does it with which are very rigid and like almost like bony. Like they're very like they got like a lot of crevices.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of like nods. Just, I understand.
Mm-hmm. Well, did you ever find a group to go on your first adventure with?
He nods, still kind of like eating. I believe I have one couple candidates, but I'm not for sure at the moment. I'm. He kind of like looks his hands over. I hate to admit, I'm a little bit nervous.
She just smiles again reassuringly and like holds on to one of your hands gently and just says, "That's all right. There's a lot to be nervous about, but I know you'll do great things, Tauros."
He's still kind of just like looking down of all the things that the school has prepared me for, fighting, defending myself. I still don't believe I'm ready to intermingle with others. If you know,
She
looking at
nods. Mhm. Yeah, she nods knowingly and just says, "I understand. Sometimes our peers can be scarier than any monster."
but I will be strong for you, right, Miss Loomis?
She laughs and says, "Right, for me. I'll need someone to keep me safe when I'm retired."
That's what I'm aiming for, Miss. And he kind of like fully chuckles as he finishes up his food, and he kind of like grabs his like really ratty bag. He's, I believe I should be off pretty soon. I'll go get in my outfit.
Sounds good.
Will you be at the ceremony?
Uh, she says, "Ah, I'll do my best to be there. I can't guarantee I am supposed to be at the temple today, but if I can find the time, I'll absolutely be there for the graduation."
He just gives a nod. Just, thank you, Miss Loomis. I appreciate everything. And he gives her kind of like a salute before
Mhm.
kind of just like throwing his bag over his shoulder and heading back to his room.
Absolutely. She's gotten to the point where she just doesn't even try to correct your formality. It's
it's
she
been a constant.
yeah. All right. We move from the temple district over to the sort of the more lively merchants quarter, the sort of touristy area of the city of Avon, and of course, when you go to the merchants quarter, you must visit Madame Chevre's. Uh, However, today, uh, the wonderful, famous inn is actually closed this morning. It's not open to guests because there's a little party going on. Uh, T, you you pretty much figured out the surprise party long before anyone ever tried to surprise you with it.
Oh,
But
yes.
do you still, when you wake up and come downstairs and all of your friends and coworkers shout surprise, do you still play along?
Yeah, she does totally pretend to be surprised.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, yeah. So you're there. Madame Chevre is there, of
She's I
course.
should probably describe what she looks like.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
She is a 19-year-old elf. She is I pulled up things so I don't have to remember them. I can just look at them. She's 5'6", 120, 19 years old, light skin with this cute bouncy blonde bob. She looks absolutely stunning. She's gorgeous. When she woke up, she was wearing like not much, but she put on a silk robe to come downstairs in before for breakfast, quote unquote breakfast, because she knows all this is going on.
Mm-hmm.
She's got these piercing red eyes, and yeah, she's just playing with like a dancing spell, walking down the stairs so that she can like have them like pop dramatically when she's quote unquote surprised to make them all feel much better about the party that they're throwing.
Wonderful. So yeah, you come down. Everyone shouts surprise. All of your friends are there. Madame Chevre is almost to tears. She's so proud of you. Um, and of course, you also see Cammy, your best friend. Um, would you like to describe how Cammy looks?
Uh, Cammy is a tiefling who is jacked as hell. She is purple. She's got these lovely curly horns, and you wouldn't know it at the moment because she's currently like beaming and about to like grab T in a tight hug and spin her around. But normally she has a strong case of RBF, resting bitch face, and is intimidating as hell. Just from kind of looking at the people in this crowd, you can probably tell she's the bouncer.
Wonderful. So yeah, everyone is saying congratulations to you. A few of them are crying because they know you are going to be going away for a while. Like this, this place has become your home, and these people have become your family. And Madame Chevre, like, just after Cammy lets you down, is just like wrapped you up in her arms. She's this older dwarven woman, uh, and like she's also wearing some pretty risque clothing. She was an incredible beauty before she was an older woman, and even now she is still stunning. And she just is bawling, and she says, "You must visit us. You must. You must. You can't abandon. You must always come by whenever you are in the area. You must promise
Oh,
me
Mama,
this."
I'm not leaving forever.
Oh, oh, my sweet dear. Oh, and if you'd like, I'm sure Cammy would be very happy to keep any unwanted guests from calling for you anymore.
If Cammy chooses to do so, that is up to Cammy.
Mhm.
She says, like, giving like eyes to Cammy of, if you wanna.
Cammy like smirks, and like she's like, "Oh, I mean, he's had it coming." and like you can already like see the movie in Cammy's head of her just like bashing that one person's face in.
Yes. It's in my head too.
Oh yeah. The three of you all share a laugh together. A big extravagant breakfast has been made. Let's see here. And then as you all are sitting down to eat, Madame Chevre stands and says, "Today, my family, we will be saying a brief goodbye to the wonderful T, who has blessed us with her presence for so long, who has been such an amazing part of this wonderful establishment, and to a wonderful woman who I am so lucky to say that she is like a daughter to me. I could not be any more proud of her than I am." Like she just keeps gushing and gushing about
Aw.
you, and is just like,
T's got a little bit of a tear in her eye.
mhm. And as you all are talking and being lively, you hear like someone fiddling with the door from the outside, and Cammy like rolls her eyes, gets up, walks over, opens the door, and says, "We're closed." And this like high elven man with a mustache that T you recognize as one of the teachers of the academy,
Oh God.
looks at Cammy and just goes, "Oh, I didn't know." And then Cammy like makes a loud like sniffing, and she goes, "I believe you've already started having your fun today, sir." And he just goes, "That's fine. I'll be back later," and walks away. Cammy
Fantastic.
comes back and she's just like, that guy, every day he's here. Like, I get that he's like a retired adventurer, but he should have something else going on with his days, right?
You'd think. You'd think he'd be, decent at his job. You'd be shocked.
Hmm. She just says, "I'm not too sure," and claps you on the back. Um, yeah, so you have a very lovely sort of going away party, uh, and it's honestly pretty much just going to be a half day at Madame Chevre's, so that any of your friends who want to attend your graduation will be able to.
Oh, very
Um,
sweet.
but yeah, so then moving from the grand establishment of Madame Chevre's, we go to the noble quarter, where we finally come across the fabled Claudius estate, or rather, one of the many fabled Claudius estates. Uh, Here, we see a lavish mansion, perfectly manicured hedges, a fountain, and tall, magnificent windows. Uh, this is where we find Oberon, who is coming to breakfast, where we also find his father, sister, and his father's bodyguard, Castor.
Yeah. Oberon is like I said, a young drow-ish looking man, about 19, 20 years old. Um, tall, broad figure, about 6'2". He has just finished, after having finished his trance the night before. Probably just spent some time up in his room, maybe reading some heroic stories, to kind of like just attempt to pump himself up for the day, knowing that it's going to be a big day. He walks down in his nicely, very well done uniform that was cleaned probably the night before by one of the staff members of the house. Firmly pressed, all just looks picture perfect. Has a little insignia on like the top breastplate of what looks to be like, or top like left breast of what looks to be like a tree with deep branching roots made of bronze and silver that is circled around by almost a wreath of similar colored leaves. As he just makes his way into the dining hall, sees them all there, and just goes, "Oh, Father,
Uh,
Anastasia, Castor."
your father, Regulus Xavier Claudius the 30th, looks at you with just this sort of bemused expression on his face. He's strikingly more high elven in his features than you, more similar to your little sister, Anastasia, who shares mostly high elven features as well. Castor notices you and gives you a curt nod, um, as your father says, "Ah, well, good morning, Oberon. How did how was your night?" Uh,
Um, it went well, Father. I got some last minute training in just to keep me loose before graduation. After that, nothing much else.
oh, right, it is your graduation day, isn't it? When he says that, Anastasia just like rolls her eyes and says, "Dad, how could you? That's ridiculous. That why would you forget that?" And she looks back at you and says, "I'm really happy for you, Oberon. This is really good. I'm this is great. I can't wait to see you at graduation."
Oberon, like, his face goes through this weird emotion of like, it looks like he like wants to smile at first, but then it's like he remembers something sour in his face. Like, it stays pretty neutral. He just goes, "Thanks, Annie." and will sit himself down.
Yep.
Um,
When you sit down, a human servant comes in and places a plate of an extravagant breakfast of toast, sausages, juice, and
porridge.
yeah, all the works.
hmm Yeah, Oberon, right before he begins to dig in, will just, Ray probably knowing the answer in his mind, just goes, "Will you be attending, Father?"
Oh, sadly, I will not be able to attend. And actually, Anastasia, uh, you and I must actually, we do have prior arrangements. And Annie looks at him. He's like, "What? I don't remember." And then he goes, "Yes, yes. Don't you remember we're going to be applying for your magic user's license? We need to make sure that we stay up with your studies, and this would be a much easier way to make sure that you're on top of that than having to, deal with all the paperwork of hiring tutors and such. This way we can make sure that, it's just less hassle." And Annie kind of looks conflicted, and she says, "You know, I do appreciate that, but this is Oberon's day. Shouldn't we, use it, spend it with him?" And your father kind of looks at her, looks at you, and says, "It's unfortunate, but this is the time that we have to apply for it. I'm sorry, Oberon. We'll be sure to try to make it if the process goes smoothly."
Of course, Father. As Oberon will kind of just like hands under the table clench really hard for a second before they just let go. Of course. No, Annie, this is important for you. It's a big step. This is
As
something that you need to have done.
Mhm.
And I'm going to assume, and his eyes will go over to Castor.
Mhm.
I'm going to assume that Castor will be accompanying you all.
Castor kind of like looks to your father and he says, "Well, perhaps I could attend the graduation, sir." And your father just looks at him and says, "Don't be ridiculous. If something were to happen to Anastasia, I would need you to be there to keep her safe. Oberon can handle himself. He doesn't need a bodyguard. Oh, but Oberon, Edgar will be here soon to escort you to the graduation."
Must he?
Yes, he must. He is to be your retainer. It is needed for him to be seen as your retainer.
Just bites the inside of his cheek. Of course, Father. Of course.
Right. Oh, and your uh your dog, I'm not sure that he'd be able to. Is he able to attend the ceremony? He kind of like says to you, not really knowing.
I'm going to assume that probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably
Oh yeah,
something
no,
of
it's
that
like
would be kept in like the familiar / like whatever it is,
Oh
like
yeah,
stable almost.
yeah. He'd be like, you'd be able to come collect him afterwards, but
Yeah.
he's, if nothing else, he's just too big. They wouldn't be able to find space for him.
No, Wound won't be allowed to attend.
Ah, right, Woon. That's right. That's a shame, but he'll serve you well in battle, so that's what's important.
Of course, Father. I am still grateful to this day.
Right. Well, that is appreciated. As he's talking, another servant will come up and whisper something to your father, and he'll like furrow his brow and say, "He wants to meet." All right, Oberon. I'm afraid we might not be able to make it after all. Apparently, your grandfather would like to meet Annie today.
Just kind of like swallows very thickly. Oh, but I, I, and Oberon's just fumbling over his words at this point. Can't like form.
And he sees you kind of struggling to say something, and he kind of like actually takes a second to look at you, and you do see this like genuine sadness come up for him, and he says, I understand. My father wasn't able to attend my graduation either. It's not as rewarding when you aren't able to share it with the people who are important to you. I will do my best to make up for this, though. I promise you that after your graduation is over, we will make sure to properly celebrate this.
Oberon will kind of get like the most heartfelt expression of happiness that he could at this moment. Just, I would appreciate that, Father. I look forward to it.
And he smiles, and that sadness is still there, but then he kind of phases back into his standard demeanor. And he, and eventually, as you're eating, another human servant comes in and says, the young Edgar Wood has arrived for the Lord Oberon.
Of course. And Oberon will like begin having probably at this point, even if he hasn't finished his meal, he's just ready to get this over with.
Mm-hmm.
Just very well. I will see you all later. And he'll give a nod and kind of like without making eye contact with any of them, just turn around and begin walking away.
All right. And Annie will say, well, I'm sorry we're not going to be able to be there, but I really am happy for you, as you're walking out.
I'm sure you are, Annie. And just keep walking.
All right. Well, from here, we're going to move to the actual graduation itself. So you all are gathered along with your other peers in the assembly hall. Like all of your friends from Madame Chevre's are just all there, being kind of rowdy, drawing a lot of attention as they are wont to do.
They're the kind of family group that, like, when the graduation and clap for you didn't, they clap for me anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Now introducing Eris. Yeah, let's go.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, and you all are there, and after a few moments, the headmaster comes up. He's an older, high elven man, and as he approaches, he casts thaumaturgy on himself, and begins speaking. Congratulations to all of you for completing your education as adventurers for the glorious Empire of Maka. Before we begin, I must inform you that unfortunately our divine leader, the Immortal Empress, will be unable to speak with us today, as she is quite busy preparing for the celebration of the new millennium. Though she did prepare some words that I have the honor to convey to you all. The institution of adventurers have long protected our holy nation. You all are embarking on a sacred duty to defend your fellow citizens from the hordes of vile monsters that continue to plague our lands. As prophet of the Sylvan, know that the immortal Empress speaks for the true gods, and that you honor them with this work. Congratulations to you all, and may the Sylvan guide you towards righteousness. And there's an applause in the crowd. And as everyone has their names called out, everyone is given their license. You all go back to sit, and the headmaster stands up again and says, "Now, as is tradition, as you all know, the graduation ceremony is not exactly complete yet. You all will be going on your first adventure, proctored by one of our many talented faculty members. And upon completion of this adventure, they will sign your your license, officially naming you as adventurers. Now, throughout these 3 years, we've encouraged you all to form up, find groups that you would like to join as a party. There are, of course, still some of you who have not managed to group up just yet, and you all will be randomly assigned to each other. We have a bulletin board outside that will give you the names of your groups and your proctors. Go forth and have a grand adventure." And as he says that, everyone mills out of the graduation hall. You all get to say your final well wishes, hear your final congratulations before you have to start your first true adventure. When all of you make it to that bulletin board, you see that you all have been assigned to each other as a group.
One quick question. I assume with 3 years we know about each other?
So you might have seen each other around. You might have had a few classes with each other. I don't imagine that many of you have formed strong friendships with each other.
Edgar and Oberon.
Well, Edgar and Oberon are the ones who probably have the most the most solid relationship. I would not necessarily friendly though.
Yeah.
What do you mean? They're best friends.
Besties.
All right. Well, the five of you see that you've been assigned together under the watchful eye of the wonderful Seamus Clark III. And T, you recognize that name as the name of the man who tried to enter Madame Chevre's this morning.
Well, this is going to be hilarious.
Have we all met? Like, are we all in a group yet?
I'll say that you
Jack.
all have gone to a room in the academy where you're waiting for Seamus to arrive.
And why would you say that?
Oh, no reason. I just have a little experience with the gentleman.
Have we seen him like throughout the academy?
Oh yeah,
Jack?
he's a weapons trainer. He's also specifically an educator for Eldritch Knights, as he is one himself.
Do you kind of know about his drunken?
Very frequently, whenever he's seen, he's most likely drunk. There are a lot of rumors about him spending a lot of time at Madame Chevre's, especially with a proclivity for halfling men. Now, these are all rumors. We can't always say whether they're true or not. But I think T might have a little specific insight into that.
Just a little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's already bummed off his ass.
That's great to hear.
It's a good thing proctors aren't allowed to get involved, because if he's shit-faced, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be useful in the fight.
Or
I'm pretty sure being shit-faced makes him better.
Yeah.
I've only seen a few monks that are like that.
Powerful people.
As you all are talking, eventually you hear like a clattering against the door, and then you hear like someone cursing, and fumbling with the knob, and then finally they realize that they were pushing when it's a pull door. And he opens the door, and you see Seamus. He's a high elf with a mustache, and he carries a rapier at his side, and he kind of stumbles through and looks at the five of you, sniffs, and goes, "All right, looks like you all are going to be the ones that I'm evaluating for your first adventure."
Looks like.
Lucky us.
We'll be in your care, Proctor.
Yes, quite. He looks at you, T, and he squints his eyes. He goes, "Nah, I don't know you." He looks around
Right.
at the five of you, and then just looks at you, Tauros, and just "Oh, you made it. That's interesting. You actually got to graduate. That's that's good."
Thank you, sir. It was not easy.
Well, I'm out of gold. All right. Anyways,
It's so fucking weird.
he claps his hands together.
It's amazing.
And
Jesus.
says, "All right, well, so looks like what we'll be doing is a little bit of monster hunting." And he pulls out this really crumpled piece of parchment out of one of his pockets, and he pulls it open and is squinting at it, and he says, speaking only in Elvish, by the way, and he says, "Right, so apparently this village has been having a lot of goblin sightings lately, so we're going to head down there and take care of it. Apparently they've been stealing gold or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. goblins do.
Rapturing.
Yeah. All right. So let's get moving. It's about a 4-day trip if we're not on horseback. Do any of you have horses?
I do
Look
have a
around.
mount.
No, sir.
No.
All right. It's going to be a 4-day trip then.
I would appreciate if we could stop by the stable beforehand.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
T just looks down at her feet. She's wearing 4-inch bright red pumps.
Yeah, Oberon just looks down at them as well and just goes, "Not very practical."
Practicality. That's what you're on me about?
I mean, that can't feel good on your feet, though.
She just kind of snorts in a way that says, ugh, feminism.
In Oberon's mind, it's just going, "I'm just trying, that just can't become he's trying to picture himself wearing 4-inch clothes, and he's just no, that can't
Can't
be."
fight in that.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, during that whole conversation, Oberon Tauros is trying to picture Oberon intimate, and he's like, "Could I wear those? Be able to fight in them?
Could I pull those off?
No. Can I pull those off?"
Are they at least sharpened, as
Daggers.
weapons?
They're actually blunted because, fun fact for all the men in the chat, if your high heel is too pointy, it will sink into the dirt.
Yeah.
So it's blunted a little so that she's not sinking an inch whenever she stops walking.
There we go.
So a D4 bludgeoning damage. Gotcha.
Yes.
The more you know.
I imagine they were sharp, and T just starts sinking. We're like, why is T getting shorter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Oberon will head towards the stables there. I'm going to assume that they're kind of towards where you leave.
Yeah, they're towards the edge of the academy.
Mm-hmm. And the second he gets, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say anybody could follow if they want, but Oberon's just going there, and he'll just put his hands to his mouth and whistle and just call out, "One. Come here, boy."
Bounding out of the stables, you all see this massive dog. it is standing at like 7 feet tall to its shoulder, and it's covered in big poofy fur and a set of ringmail adorned on it. On that ringmail is emblazoned the family crest of the Claudius family.
That's your mount.
Yes, this is Woon, and Oberon will like just reach behind his ear and begin like scratching him.
Can you spell that for me real quick, Trey?
W-U-N. Woon.
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
Mhm.
Woon.
Yeah, like as you are scratching him, he's like panting heavily, and like starts like his paw, like his hind paw does that thing that when dogs are like being scratched in that spot they love.
Starts kicking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good boy. And just pats him on the head.
Mm-hmm. He gives like a really deep, loud woof of appreciation as you pet him.
What a good boy.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good boy.
That's a good boy.
Taurus looks a little off-put by it.
Mm-hmm.
Essa looks like he's just intrigued at the fact that there's just a giant ass dog in front of him.
Yeah, Oberon seeing the confusion just goes, have you never seen an Elmera Mastiff?
I have not. First time saying one. Very beautiful dog.
Yes. They are typically a breed kept by the higher ups, the high nobles. Sometimes they are kept around as pets, but other times they serve better as mounts. Especially this one. And like he like just taps a wound. He's been with me for years now.
One like leans down and gives you like a big lick that like makes your hair stick up.
Seems like he loves you.
If T were not trying to establish dominance right now, she's petting that dog.
T's like just gripping her arms, like don't pet it, don't pet it, don't
like,
pet it.
T, like if you put your hand against this dog, your hand would like be buried in its fur.
Let's
That's how
go.
big and poofy it is.
Don't tempt me.
She's like, I must resist.
Edgar waits for Oberon to be looking away before he gives one little scratch behind the ears, and then has to definitely run back.
All right. Well, you all begin your journey. Before you set out, Seamus says, "All right. I'm pretty sure I know the way, but just in case, do any of you know how to get to Ella Creek?"
As it just hands in head in his hands. Oh, fuck.
I've never been much out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same for me, unfortunately.
Tauros,
Can I
how are you
roll-
feeling after hearing that village name?
Forehead sweats a little bit.
Can I roll? Would it be like a history or nature check to see if, like, just in like our general studies, if Oberon remembers, like maybe seeing it on a map or something like that?
That would be a history check. Yeah.
All right. 19.
19. Yeah. You know,
Hey.
Ella Creek is to the south. It's about a 4 days trip. It's actually near the foothills of the Bogai Mountains.
Okay.
Yes, it is South Mountain, right, Proctor?
Yeah, that's probably right. All right, let's get moving. You all said your goodbyes, right? Because
Yep.
you might die. So
I did.
yeah.
You're really reassuring, Proctor.
Nah, it's fine. Like I'll try my best not to let anyone die.
I feel so safe.
Did we have time to switch to our equipment, like armor and stuff?
Oh yeah. You've already you've had the chance to switch into equipment, gather any supplies, adventuring gear, that kind of stuff.
Wicked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you'd like to spend any of your starting gold on adventuring supplies to take with you, feel free to.
I'm good.
Can you remind me of our starting goal, or did we have individual?
I think that's with your background.
Your
Just the
background
background stuff?
would give you we'll treat it the same. You're using a custom background, but we'll treat it the same as an entertainer background.
Okay.
So that's going to be
I can
15
look.
gold.
15? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Edgar does go look around where he knows like there might be some inventory, like weapons in the like an armory for just extra crossbow bolts. See if there's a less banged up shield than his.
Mhm.
Just freshen up on his supplies.
Sure. So yeah, you can find a shield. The academy could sell you a shield for 10 gold.
He looks as his banged up one. He's like, yeah, it'll survive at least this.
Mm-hmm. But for crossbow bolts, you could do that. That'd be if it would cooperate. Yeah, you can find a bundle of 20 bolts for 1 gold.
Cool. I'll do that.
Does everyone have rations and everything?
I believe so. Always good to double check. Yes.
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 Jack, for the for wound, can I say that when I got the armor for him, that I also bought some, like, I don't know what he would eat, like if he would need rations or anything of that nature.
Yeah, we could just have it. He would buy ration. You would buy rations for him to eat as well.
Dog food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I just put like 10 wound rations?
Sure.
Or 10 mastiff rations?
Definitely.
All right. Okay.
Did we all get to describe our non-uniform clothes?
No, I don't believe we did.
Oh, I don't think I did either.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's everyone wearing?
So T is wearing like, and it's not any shock what she's wearing based on how her normally looks. She'll pull her skirt up a little and the shirt's a size too tight, but in her normal clothes, she's got this red slinky dress with gold cords keeping it tight to her figure. Gold and it's all like gold colored, not actual gold. She's not that rich. She has these gold bands on her arm, and she has a gold pendant hanging down right in the middle of her chest that has a beautiful stone in it. And she's got these like black heeled in her bag, not that she's wearing. She has black heels. She'll probably put on like violin. That's T.
All right.
Taurus is wearing pretty basic. I kind of described it earlier as it's pretty beat down. He tries to keep it nice as he can because it's his armor. It's like you'd probably assume it's his only set of armor. It's pretty basic plate that he has on right now. Nothing fancy. He's got a backpack on over his back that's pretty beat up. And he's got his flame birch through it. And then also on the other side is a large pike that he has on his back.
Gotcha.
Edgar, I think I described it a little bit before, but yeah, full black studded leather armor, as well as like underneath the studded leather armor is basically a button down shirt for easy access to, like, you'll see the top buttons are not buttoned. You see a little bit of his chest with the wound there as well. He's got his rapier as well as a crossbow and a little bag filled with that jingles a little bit with some alchemist supplies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, fingerless gloves. Almost forgot.
Let's go.
Those
Yeah,
are very
forget those,
important.
HA. Those are
Oh,
very
yes.
important to the goth
Yes.
aesthetic. Never forget those again.
How dare.
Oberon is wearing probably hands down the nicest armor out of everybody here. It is full chainmail, all across, decked out in the colors of green, bronze, silver. He has a shield by his side, and carrying with him, he has a couple hand axes by his side, but his main weapon is this giant lance that at the very end of it you see turns into a standard with a flag waving that has the same symbol that is on his that was on his pendant for the Claudius house. And kind of as a almost like a makeshift like headband, he has what is almost like just a metal circlet that keeps his hair from falling into his face.
For Essa, he's you see him wearing what looks to be like an overcoat or like basically a trench coat that would go over like normal clothing, but he doesn't have like a shirt underneath it, but it's covered, it's closed up, and you see the armor is kind of around that, covering his shoulders, his waist, his chest. He's wearing pretty basic clothes, like clothes that are light and that he can move quick in because of his roguish nature. Main weapon, as again mentioned, is a rapier by his side with 2 daggers kind of slotted in his back for quick access. You can see that the daggers have the way their hilts or their scabbards work, or there's a opening in the side where he can swing them out for easier and quicker access rather than just having to take all the time to yank them out.
Gotcha. All right. Well, you all set off on your journey. You start heading south. Over the course of the 4 days, it's fairly uneventful. There are a few moments where you do have to get Seamus to focus on the task at hand.
Ogres, man.
Over those 4 days, you get some time to mingle, chat with each other a bit. Is anyone like particularly trying to get to know each other?
You know, T's not super reaching out, but she does kind of like, she does hover a bit around Tauros.
Mm-hmm.
Tauros most of the time just keeps his eyes to the
Gotcha.
God, we're a talkative group.
Yeah. I'd say probably Oberon, the most he would do is he is almost constantly, whenever they have free time, I figure him and Edgar are probably duking it out, sparring.
We try to stay as far away from each other as possible, I think, for most of it. But then something happens. One of us does something that slightly annoys the other. And it turns into, oh, we gotta practice.
Yep.
It's like, Edgar, why'd you take that extra portion that was meant for a spare?
I labeled my portions Edgar. Leave me alone.
You labeled 4 portions as Edgar.
You should have labeled them first.
Whenever they're fighting, T is watching like it's TV. She's very like, this is hilarious to her.
Like it's TV.
Hey.
Shut up.
All right. Well, yeah. So, other than occasionally Seamus falling over drunk, or
if Edgar ever realizes that Essa is a rogue, he'll at one point when Seamus is again drunk be like, "Can you just steal his alcohol, like for the rest of the trip?"
I mean, if I knew where it was on his body, I probably could.
Have we seen
have we seen him pull it out? Have we seen him
like
pull it out and like drink?
Oh yeah, he's got like a few flasks on him that he keeps dipping into. And like when it's empty, he literally just drops it to the ground and then pulls out another one.
Wait till he falls over again and he is out, and then I could much easier. And plus, I don't want to risk getting expelled.
That's fair. Just if you do it, just put it on one of the elves. I think that we'll be fine.
You read my mind. You read my
mind. Unfortunately, you don't get the chance to do that before you all reach the village of Ella Creek.
I kind of walk over to Edgar and go, "You think he heard us and he sobered up?"
Hope that would be great, but I don't think so.
As you're like whispering, to each other. Like Seamus like comes like between the two of you and like wraps his arms around your shoulders, and like he is stinking like of booze, and he's just like, "What are you keeping secrets about?"
You have a drinking problem, man.
I'm very good at drinking, son.
I got no problem drinking at all.
We have like an academy guidance counselor. I think you could go talk to them if there's just something going on at home. You know that, right?
I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I got this.
Great.
But eventually you do reach Ella Creek. Ella Creek is a small village that lies nestled between large fields and a lush forest. Because, it is the first month of the year 1000. It is still, it's towards the end of winter. So and while there isn't much work to be done during this cold weather, you do see some farmers already walking their fields, considering how to manage their land when the frost finally melts and when they can start planting their crops. Um, Most of the villagers you see are humans, but you do spot some dwarves and halflings among the group. Um, and despite the rumors of the goblin raids, the cottages seem almost idyllic as the peasants are moving around the village.
Do we want to go find a leader of this town to check in? Things seem awfully calm for goblin problems.
Well,
Taurus's
do we have any
eyes-
idea who reported the problem in the first place?
That is true. I kind of turn to the proctor and go, Proctor Seamus, if I may ask, who did we get this quest from? Was there any name attached to the request?
He pulls out the parchment again and says, we're looking for how do you read that? It's how do you pronounce that? It's a dwarven name. Looks like Marcus Toldrin. Apparently, he's the governor.
Oh, that's what we're gonna go find, I guess.
Taurus's eyes are kind of wandering as they walk down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's kind of zoning out.
Mm-hmm.
Oberon's trying to, as they're walking, he's going to just be trying to keep an eye out for any signs of goblin attacks, like maybe scratched doors, like busted houses, anything that could indicate this place has been like raided or attacked recently.
Gotcha. As you're doing that, you all are drawing attention. You're a group of strange-looking people. You have a giant dog and a devil person with you.
That's true.
And as you're all looking around, eventually, a middle-aged dwarven man approaches your group. He looks a little nervous as he approaches. He says, "Oh, are you all the representatives from the academy? I'm Governor Marcus Toldrin."
That would be us.
Yeah.
We are.
Ah, yes. Welcome to the lovely village of Ella Creek. Thank you very much for taking up our request. Yes, we've just been having a little trouble with some goblins. Have been sighted around. There's been, we haven't necessarily had a raid of any sort just yet, but some goblin sightings have been popping up more and more, and we had some people express concerns that some of their food has been going missing, some of their gold, things like that. Nothing to have to worry like a full-fledged adventuring party, but something that we would like investigated still.
And where have these sightings been?
Oh, usually around the forest nearby. If you talk amongst the villagers, they might be able to have more information. I do know that they tend to be seen in the trees.
The trees.
Right. As whenever like children are moving through the forest, they say, "Oh, goodness me, that is clearly a goblin. I must tell my parents."
Can I just get the record straight, for the mission at all? So you haven't seen any goblins in the village?
Oh, I haven't seen any, but I've heard that there are goblins that are
How
Gotcha.
many
approaching the
of
village.
these reports have come from children?
Not so many. It's mostly been it's mostly been the adults that have been saying it though.
Can I insight this man?
Yeah, let's see
I
an
just want to
insight
get a
check.
general vibe if he's just like if he's honest to God just nervous or if there's something else.
Gotcha. Okay. He's gonna do a contested roll.
Can I roll as well?
Sure.
Okay.
Say your rolls out loud.
I will.
That's it.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a
yeah. Sorry,
19.
that's a 19 insight.
19
That's funny.
Nat
I'm
20?
not bullshitting. I'll send a picture. I'm not bullshitting.
Oh wow.
You want me to send a picture for proof?
Sure,
I
let's
will.
see it. Anyways,
Well, Mitchell just is imagining he sees the 0 behind it.
um
I'm just like going crazy. There we go. Much better picture.
yeah, no. So both of
There we
you
go.
both of you are oh nice. Very nice. Both of you are able to tell like, oh yeah, he's definitely hiding something. Now it doesn't seem like he's lying that goblins have been seen, but exactly the nature of the reports are something that he might be leaving out some details on.
Like the fact that they've just been seen and that
Like,
they haven't been like doing something else, or
just like the nature of like, you can't tell exactly. You just know that he's not lying that there have been goblins, but he isn't exactly being forthcoming with exactly what the whole the full context of everything is.
gotcha.
Taurus, Taurus is going to speak up a little bit. Big. Has this been a problem in the past?
He looks at you, kind of like shocked for a minute, and like has to like regain his composure, and says, "Oh, sorry, I don't know how I missed you." Right. Well, we've had we've known that some goblins have been in the area for a while, but they haven't been getting as close to the village as they have been recently. I'm just wanting to make sure to see if we can have this investigated to make sure that to nip the problem in the bud so that we don't have a raid on our hands.
Very understandable. You're looking after your.
Exactly. I'm looking after my people. Yes.
But there is one thing. If we are to do this quest to the best of our abilities, then we will need to know, is this truly all the information that you have? Anything more would be helpful. As Oberon's trying to leave it unsaid of what he is saying, that like, I know you're hiding something, but at the same time trying to make it come off genuinely as we need as much information as we can to help you guys.
Sure, give me a persuasion roll.
Okay. Would my position of privilege help at all with this?
I know that's an ability, but it kind of asks white privilege can help you.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing.
Fair. It says you are welcome in high society, and the people assume you have the right to be wherever you are. Common folk and merchants make every effort to accommodate you and avoid your displeasure, and other people of high birth treat you as a member of the same social sphere.
Right. Yeah, I'll say this gives you advantage.
Okay. And this is persuasion?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
A 20.
That's
okay.
a 20.
Yeah, his face kind of like falters a bit, and he says, "Oh well, I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but as long as you make sure this doesn't get out. But apparently, we've heard rumors that some families are talking with the goblins. We don't want any accusations about that getting out." He says as he's like quickly looking around, making sure like no one's eavesdropping. And he says, we assure you that no one in this village would ever collaborate with monsters.
Hey Jack, can I roll a history check to see how possibly legit that might be on certain aspects?
Yeah, sure thing.
There's some lore in that question.
No,
There's a lot of
no,
There's some
no,
juicy lore right there.
nope. Man, he's not very
Damn it.
smart. 16.
Hey,
16.
16's not
That's
bad.
not bad. So what specifically are you trying to get with this history check?
He's gonna try and think back on any time when this might have been a problem.
Yeah.
If he'd ever heard about this.
So Tauros, you would know that that the goblins being around Ella Creek isn't anything necessarily new. It's towards the outskirts of the Empire, so it doesn't benefit from as much of the protection that some of the places in the more populated areas would have. There have on occasion been raids from goblins or Asori or other monsters. Generally, though, they aren't done very frequently, because if they were, that would give the Empire, incentive to start sending,
Take them.
soldiers down there.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool.
Mhm.
That's all.
But yeah, so the dwarf just says, like, I promise you that our village does not collaborate with monsters. It's
Of course not, sir.
Of course not.
This is a dangerous outbreak you're going through, and we would be more than happy to.
Thank you, my dear. My lady.
Mhm.
So
You,
Mhm. Yes?
perchance, not saying that there were anybody speaking to the goblins, but potentially if there were, who they could be, or at least the general direction. Just not maliciously, as Oberon's like just trying to like slowly just explain, like, we simply just for prosperity's sake.
Oh, right. You may want to find Dellin. He's a farmer who he's actually out in his field right now. Though do take care not to let him know who tipped you off. He kind of says.
Oh, of course, sir. We wouldn't dream of it.
Of course.
So he points you in the right direction. And you find Dellin. He's a sort of middle-aged human man. He's like looking around his field. And you like hear him talking to himself. He's like, I don't know, wheat's a good stable one, but we might want to do something a little different this time around.
Keeping towards the back of the group as we walk around.
Mm-hmm.
T will pipe up, realizing this is where her skills come in. Hello, sir.
He like turns, sees you, and like just narrows his eyes at your group, and just kind of sniffs and says, "All right, what can I do to help y'all?"
we've heard how scary it is for some people in town, and we just want to make sure that everything's doing all right.
He like rubs a hand under his nose and just says, "Right, yeah, goblins. I've been seeing them coming around.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I have." And like he's kind of like quietly just looking at you all, and then he takes out a pipe and starts smoking it and says, "Hmm, well, all I really know about them is that they come up from, you know, the mountains. They look around. Seems like they might be scoping out the place."
Oh, like
Um,
scoping out for a large raid or something of the kind?
What else? I mean, of course, yes.
My goodness, I'd have no idea.
Yeah.
Edgar pipes up. Is like, for someone that would be on the front lines of such a raid, you don't seem that anxious or worried about it.
He looks at you and like really like his eyes go real squinty and just like takes in your features and just says, "Right. Well, I've lived through some raids in my time, and they're not always as horrible as you might think, but as long as you keep yourself safe and your family safe, you'll be set."
That's very smart. I've heard of people doing wild things to save their families. Absolutely maddening.
He's going to kind of like
Can I
bristle
see if
at
he
those
had any
words.
sort of reaction to that?
Oh yeah, give me an insight check.
Hype. Ooh, that's pretty good. What do I add? What do I add?
Your wisdom,
Insight. 18.
18 total. Okay.
noise.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
like
fuck
Crit-
yeah.
he's quick to try to hide it, but you're too perceptive for him.
Hell yeah.
And like he visibly like bristles and he like understands the sort of implication that you're making, and just kind of says, "Right, I've heard that too."
I am kind of going for the like, oh, I wouldn't know anything about that kind of like angle. For, plausible deniability.
Oh yeah.
Smart.
Should I roll for dumb blonde?
Yeah, you
Uh,
could give me a deception check.
Hype.
Give
Did
me a
she
dumb
roll for
blonde.
blonde Alice?
Give me a dumb blonde roll.
Ooh!
Yeah, I told
You know what? I add 6 and it ends up as a 9.
Oh,
Hey,
Okay.
Oh,
So you're like trying to be
I'm gonna
coy.
call that a success because nice.
69.
Nice. No, you're trying to be coy about it, but he's understanding the implications
Okay.
and the kind of the trap you're laying out for him.
Okay.
And he just says, "Yeah, people will do stuff to protect their family, but
Well, as
I
long as
think
everything's all right over here.
we'll be fine as long as someone takes care of the goblins." And he just like starts walking back to his home.
Ta ta.
This whole conversation, Taurus has been facing the other way, but like as it kind of like ends up, he kind of like turns and is like, "Wait, can you at least show us where the goblins have been showing up?"
He just points over to the forest, and as he's walking away, like he turns to look at you, and then like stops, and starts walking closer to you, Tauros.
Taurus is going to start taking like a step back, and then as he gets closer, another step back. Just, "Sir, I'm just here with the group. I'm not looking for trouble. I'm sorry. I should not have raised my voice."
He's looking at you, and like he's like looking at you the way like someone looks at something they're trying to like recognize. He says, "Don't get a lot of," he like kind of gestures at you, "your kind around here, but something about you. He's going to make a roll.
No, 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 no.
He is kind of like
Backstory.
on edge with
Backstory.
this, and if he tries to touch Tauros, she's just gonna be very ready.
No, he's not trying
Yeah.
to touch him, but
Okay.
Yeah, do I recognize this guy?
he's not someone that you ever really knew personally. He's just
Okay.
a man who's been in the village. This is a
Yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
small village. It's only got
Yeah.
about 200 people in it.
It's old crazy
well.
Dylan.
Okay.
Old man Dellen.
Um,
But no, he only rolled a 3 on the die, so he's like, I don't know. Just take care of the goblins and make sure you don't end up. He points at you, Tauros, and then at you, Edgar. Make sure you don't end up making things worse than they already are.
yes, sir.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Tauros visibly relaxed.
Hey, real quick, is there a town village hunter or something? Someone who will tend to hunt game or head a little more into the forest more than usual?
He thinks and he's like, I know, Liara. Liara is the one who does a lot of, forest work. She's out there right now hunting for game.
Then it seems we may find her.
Yeah, you might, if she wants you to find her. And he starts kind of cackling to himself as he's walking back to his hut.
I don't trust that man.
Nor I.
Tauros has a lot more sweat on his forehead.
Okay, Taurus.
Tauros, do you need a towel?
Or a bucket.
A bucket will suffice for this.
Seamus
God,
kind of
man.
taps you with a flask. Is like, it'll calm your nerves.
No, thank you, sir. I don't.
I don't partake in alcoholism.
It's 300 proof. He's found a way to just get drunk the fastest way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One sip and Taurus just fucking dies.
No.
Edgar is gonna begrudgingly lean over to Oberon and be like, it might be a little helpful if we get the proctor off our backs. Maybe offer to buy him some drinks at whatever inn or tavern they have, so we can investigate a little more freely.
It would. Oberon's trying to think of he is the proctor, but at the same time he looks at Seamus as offering one of his students alcohol, and he's most likely not incorrect. Proctor Seamus, I do believe that it would be best if at this junction we perhaps split, and you can maybe go into town, maybe go to the local tavern to seek questions or more information, while we went and hunt and tried to find the goblins in the woods or this Liara figure.
All right. Give me a persuasion check.
I give the help action and be like, yeah, and if you need, I know you're a proctor and all, but in case you needed a little extra gold, I got a couple.
Okay. Yeah, that'll give advantage.
Yeah, that's an
I will
11.
mention a particularly charming dwarf man that I saw in town.
He's
That's
already
all
got
roll.
the help action, so advantage doesn't
Okay.
stack. But an
But let it
11,
help.
Seamus looks at you all and goes, "Why do you need to investigate? Just go to the forest and follow the tracks. You guys, you sure you want to be adventurers?"
But we heard about the possible leak. What about the townsperson that could be feeding information to the goblins? We have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, So that's why you need to go find the goblins so you can torture them and find out who's the League.
Would it not?
Did you guys not pay attention in classes? He takes a swig.
Are you running out? How you doing on the booze right now?
I've got my stash.
He literally has like rope trick and just completely stored in there. It's just flask of
Yeah.
We're a full caravan of carts, and it's all just his booze.
yes.
It's like half of it is T's baggage, like clothes, and then the other half is booze.
All right, then off to the forest we go.
All right. You all head out to the forest. Anyone who's looking for goblin tracks, give me a survival check.
I will.
I'll do it for ha-has.
Survival. Oh shit. That's not good.
Follow the
14.
crowd.
Hey, first nat
That's
one of the
That's
campaign.
a nat 1 survival check.
Oh my
That's a
goodness.
13. That's a 13 from me.
13.
14 from T.
Okay. 13 and 14 actually will be enough to spot goblin tracks
Hype.
in the forest. And they do
Uh,
appear to be leading towards the mountains.
As we find them, I'm just going to like turn to Woon and just be like, "All right, boy, see if you can pick up anything." And just gonna have him like maybe there's leftover scent from the tracks or anything like that. Just see if he can pick anything up just to help guide us along.
Sure thing. He will have advantage because of his keen senses.
Okay, so is this perception or
Perception, yeah. Perfect.
17?
Yeah. One starts sniffing and then gives a bark to let you know that he's got the scent.
Good boy. All right, and Oberon will like grabbing like the handle on the side of the ring mail, just like throw himself over Woon's back and just, all right, he'll lead the way.
All right.
Hold your horses or dogs. Do we want to take a stealthier approach with this?
It could be valuable.
They have the advantage in this kind of environment than we do, just in case. Might be helpful. I know you're great with it, Oberon. So really trying to play to your strengths here.
There are some of us here who die faster than.
Essa points at the fact that he and T have little to no armor.
Right. All right then, Edgar, master of stealth, lead the way then.
I'll need a stealth roll from everyone.
Great, love it.
18.
Oh,
That's a 9.
And a nat
Oh,
1 from
darling.
Torius.
well, here we go, BB.
Oh,
Eleven.
One.
4 from 1.
Oh, a 6 for me.
Ooh.
Y'all are just every
Wait,
branch.
did I get the best roll? It's an 11.
Yeah,
I got
you-
18.
no.
I got 18.
I got a 2.
I'm a
What
fucking
does
rogue.
Seamus
Better
get?
cat
What
than
does
a-
Seamus
Holy
get?
cow.
yeah, we have
Seamus
to
is
see
definitely
Seamus.
disadvantage. He's definitely
Oh
disadvantaged.
yeah, Seamus has disadvantage.
Nat 1.
16.
Damn
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Oh my
Damn
goodness.
this man. You guys,
There's a reason they let him teach.
Mm-hmm.
he has a higher dex modifier than me.
Mm-hmm.
Or he just has proficiency in stealth.
That too.
Okay. Yeah, so you all are just stomping on every tree branch and like snapping every twig.
It's just like hiding in the shadows, just going, God damn it.
Yeah, Oberon like steps on Oberon like trips over a root for a second, like bumps into Edgar that like causes him to like step on twig.
We start just having a shoving fight in
Yeah,
the
it's
middle of
like-
our stealth tour.
God damn it. Leave me alone. Stop.
Eventually, you all make your way
He trips
through
them.
the forest, and as you make your way through, you see a as you make your way through the forest, you come upon the foothills of the Bogey Mountains, you come upon an unusual sight. The tops of stone watchtowers and the fortifications of a stone wall rise only 10 feet from the ground. It appears as though much of some kind of ancient fort has somehow been submerged into the earth. Squinting into the distance, you can make out the figures of creatures patrolling the walls.
Ah.
And
Um,
that'll be our goblin problem.
And
I
we
hate-
will see how you guys deal with these goblins on the next episode of
Yeah.
our of
Nice.
Dice Age.
Dice Age, baby.
All right, that's
Ooh.
perfect because I was literally about to say I have to pee so bad. So
Great time.